Exciting times as we are about to dive in on some next things for the G87. Today, gonna hit some safety items here. We've got a few new parts that I'm super excited about. We've got JP Marketing Rollbar back there. That is a bolt-in bar, minimal modification needed to get that thing installed in your G87. We'll go through that. We got new OMP RT seats. These things just came in and they look amazing. We've got the carbon option that we're going to put in these things. We've got carbon backs, alcantara material on them, super comfortable. And I think they're going to fit the look of this car and feel of this car amazing as a really awesome street dual purpose type seats. Gonna get a little more info on those as we dive in on installing those and how they fit and feel once they're in the car. Of course, got Lifeline harnesses on this thing and decided to go with red just to give a little bit of contrast pop to the interior of this thing. Of course, got BimmerWorld floor mounts in here to make this thing all bolt in to that car after you remove the factory seats. Speaking of removing the factory seats, we will have to code out some of the seat occupancy things and whatnot for this. So our friends at BPM Sport will help us out with that once we're wrapped up on the install process. So let's go ahead and dive in and start getting these pieces installed. Step one, going to start with the roll bar. Can't exactly put the seats in and then the roll bar, but actually step one is going to be, I'm going to get some weights of some things. I want to compare some weights to see what the roll bar weighs. I want to see what the seats weigh and figure out how much net loss or gain we're going to have from taking pieces out of this thing. All right, let's see what we got for the stock seats coming out. Why did that make me winded? But all right, that's actually more weight than I thought that was. 146 pounds. Each of the driver and passenger seat are 57, 58 pounds, and the rear seats total 31 pounds. Take a little peek at this. Now let's get some of the other components and see what we're going to put back in. See if this sits down right. All right, 63 pounds on the roll bar. I feel pretty good on that. I don't know what all the other roll bars on the market weigh, but I know that they typically have an extra X going across here, another X in the back, some other supports in the back. So I gotta think this is lighter than the other bars that are on the market. So no reason to have the extra X's, as these cars are already super rigid from the factory. They basically have a main roll bar hoop structure in them built in from the factory. So yeah, you don't have to go absolutely nuts and overbuild the roll bar for no reason. So excited about this design and its weight to get into there. Let's see what we got on these pieces. Of course, got to do all of the things because it wouldn't be fair to say, oh, the seats, and not include all the mounts and harnesses and things. All right, we got 77 pounds total. Those seats themselves, 17 pounds. Those things are incredibly light. These are the carbon option, leather Alcantara. I mean, that is a light seat. All the pieces do add up though. The floor mounts, the side mounts, the harnesses. So 77 for this stuff, plus 63 for the roll bar. That's 140 pounds. We had 146 pounds for the factory interior pieces. So we did end up losing some weight. A lot of times this stuff actually ends up being a absolute break even or even a little bit the other direction because of the weight of a roll bar. You know, back seats don't really weigh that much. So adding a roll bar back there and all of these extra components do add a little bit of weight. But we ended up losing weight with this, with these awesome OMP RT carbon seats. And now that we had the weight, time to go ahead and start getting this stuff in. So I'm going to start getting the roll bar in the car and then move on to getting the seats and whatnot. Get a shot of these couplers while it's out of the car. These things are super robust, tie together, and super structural for holding the rear down bars to the main hoop. Just real simple with these block nuts up here. and then these socket head screws down here to tie it all together. While the roll bar is out, let's go ahead and show you where exactly this thing is going to mount to. Pretty non-intrusive. In the back, we have two locations from the factory right here that we're going to use that gets reinforced down into there from the factory. So this is a solid spot that then actually allows the crossbar to be at a higher level and allow you to be able to pass through some things if this is your only car that you're driving to the track and still be able to fit some things in here. Now, this is the one modification that has to be made. This hole right here is not from the factory. This is a hole that we do have to drill. And then this hole right here is a hole that exists from the factory. So there are two mount locations there for the main hoop. Now, this whole support cross structure is actually where the GT4s land their main hoop. So this is a very strong piece that is structural that will be able to support the car in the case that you hopefully don't need to, but have to use the roll bar. So let's go ahead and get this thing torn apart and start getting it thrown in. Now you want to start with the back section. So you're going to want to bring the back section in. I recommend going ahead and putting a moving blanket, some blanket over the interior pieces. I also recommend having a second person with you to help with this, as it makes it a lot easier and safer to not hit any of the interior pieces that you don't want to damage. But I'm alone. Don't have anybody else here to help, so I'm gonna knock this out. I was able to get it out last night by myself without hitting anything. Let's hope I can get it back in without hitting anything. Now let's get the main hoop. All right, so the one big bolt that we had to drill through is a long bolt, a through bolt that goes all the way through that structure and then captures it on the backside with a big washer. Everything is loose currently. Nothing is snugged down just yet. You want to get everything assembled loosely and then tighten it down. All right, that's everything installed. Now just need to tighten everything down, but that is the roll bar installation. I also went ahead and trimmed up the carpet to go around the roll bar so you can see that it gives a nice little cleaner finish. I need to zip tie those little pieces back in place where I had to trim. But looking awesome. Start moving into getting the seats in. Gonna go ahead and get these BimmerWorld floor mounts in. These things are awesome in the ability to give you a ton of different seat position arrangements, wide or forward, back. But we got a couple things, a couple spacers here that allow this to adapt into the G8X car. Got a tall spacer, that's your inside spacer, a short spacer, that's your outside spacer, and then these other little ones that sit around these little nubs, and that helps even all of this out and give it, up here at least, some more surface area to land on where it mounts. Short bolts in the front. These also come with these nice little Nordlock washers, these wedge washers. And then long bolts in the rear to help make up that extra space from these spacers that are sitting underneath the mount. And then we'll need to add this submarine bracket to the mounts so that we have a space location to mount the sub belt to clip into there. Well, it may or may not have been just trucking away on this thing and not captured a ton of the process, but getting this thing in, looking awesome. The feel of this thing in the car is amazing. These red Lifeline harnesses looking amazing in here. About to work on the shoulder straps. I did want to hit a little bit of the proper way to wrap a harness. I'm about to hit the shoulder belts. You know, one of the things here is you've got this webbing here. Now, if you just wrap this around and run that through once, roll hoop through there, that's not going to do it. Twice, that's also not going to do it. This has potential to slip, but you need to go through a third time to make sure this thing is locked into place. Also, that's way too much slack. This needs to be tight up against the roll bar and snug to have as little stretch as possible. So going to go ahead and work on wrapping this around the roll bar and get these things set for lengths and sit in this thing and see how it feels. Feeling awesome. Going to shorten the sub straps just a little bit as it's a little bit loose here. Everything else feels like it's pretty much where it should be. These are pretty much maxed out where they're going to be, but I don't have a Hans on. Once I put a Hans on, these will come up a little bit and also allow for another driver size, as I'm fairly small for fitting in this thing. But yeah, this is amazing. You know, some other notes about these Lifeline harnesses. Got these awesome loops, make it easy to grab and get tight. And these adjusters, man, I cannot express how awesome these slide adjusters are. These things feel amazing. You know they're tight. They're so an adjuster that is super easy to loosen, but also doesn't come loose when you don't want it to. Pretty remarkable how good these things work. I've got them in pretty much everything. We had them in the GTMore. I've got them in my race car. Going to put them in my wife's E36 race car. I'm going to get to final adjustments on these things, tighten everything down, and this driver's seat is going to be considered done. Just wrapped up this safety install of the Rollbar, OMP RT seats, these Lifeline harnesses. This stuff came out better than I imagined. It looks amazing in here. Just take a look at how good these carbon alcantara seats with these red Lifeline harnesses popping, this JP marketing roll bar. I mean, this looks incredible. These carbon seats, beautiful. I mean, this stuff looks incredible, feels incredible. Let me take a little seat in here. These things feel amazing, super comfortable, fit me really well. A little bit extra space, so definitely someone bigger than me can fit in these things. I am looking forward to getting this thing on track and just driving around. You know, this car is still a street driving car. I actually drive this thing pretty regularly on the street. So these, I can go on a road trip in these. One lap? I don't know, maybe at some point. But I am really excited to get this thing on track soon and feel much more secure, tightened down, and not sliding around in the stock seats. So that's going to wrap up this phase of this project. Make sure to stay tuned for more projects coming up. Best way to do that, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so that you are in the know as soon as we release a new video. Let us know what you think of these seats in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to get a set of these seats, these harnesses, this roll bar, deck out your G87 like we're doing to this thing, be sure to hit us up and check out BimmerWorld.com.
Ready to go?
Should be an awesome race weekend.
We are ready to kill it this year.
It's good.
It's going to be a wild ride.